Ferrari is synonymous with speed and success, but a hidden, dark chapter in their history reveals a scandal that transformed Formula One. In January 1981, a secret meeting in Paris exposed a web of corruption, with Ferrari at the heart of it, securing deals that ensured their dominance while manipulating the sport's structure. Even today, Ferrari retains significant influence despite new challenges. Join us as we delve into this major F1 corruption scandal and explore how it shaped the sport's landscape. Buckle up for a revealing ride. January 19th, 1981. Imagine a secret meeting in Paris, deep within an elegant building in the 8th arrondissement, where 30 of the most influential figures in Formula One gathered around a smoke-filled room. Cigar smoke lingered as hushed conversations hinted at the shadiest deals in the sport's history. Within hours, the future of Formula One would change forever. But before diving into the details of that pivotal meeting, let's rewind to the 70s to understand why Ferrari felt compelled to make such dubious choices. The rise and fall of a giant. The 1970s in Formula One were all about pushing boundaries. Teams like McLaren, Williams, and Tyrrell were racing ahead with groundbreaking innovations in car technology and aerodynamics. Meanwhile, Ferrari hadn't snagged a title since 1964, and the once mighty team was starting to feel a bit outdated. But in 1975, Ferrari rolled out a true game-changer, the 312T. This wasn't just any F1 car, it was the first to break the 500 horsepower barrier, featuring low wings and a specially designed front spoiler that turned it into a formidable contender. The result? Ferrari dominated, clinching the Drivers' Championship in both 1975 and 1977, with the legendary Niki Lauda behind the wheel. They also secured the Constructors' Championship in 1975, 1976, and 1977. Ferrari was back on top, or so it seemed, as Ferrari continued to upgrade their cars. However, Lotus introduced revolutionary ground effect technology in 1977, which completely transformed the game. By harnessing airflow to create massive downforce, Lotus cars clung to the track like glue. This innovation gave them a significant edge, and by 1978, they had snatched the championship. Other teams like Williams and Ligier quickly followed suit, making the most of this groundbreaking approach, while Ferrari lagged behind. In an attempt to catch up, Ferrari launched the 312 T4 in 1979, finally embracing ground effect technology. And guess what? It worked. That year, they captured both the driver's title with Jody Scheckter and the Constructors' Championship. But let's be honest, their success wasn't solely due to the brilliance of the car, it was more about its reliability. While it may not have been the fastest, the 312 T4 was durable, and in a season full of retirements, Ferrari's consistency kept them on top. Then came 1980, and everything went downhill at breakneck speed. Ferrari's new 312 T5, equipped with a wide 180 degrees V12 engine, struggled to adapt to the necessary ground effect, and quickly became outdated. It was essentially a 5-year-old design trying to compete with the latest innovations. The engine was simply too wide for ground effect to function properly. The result? Ferrari, once a dominant force, plummeted to 10th in the Constructors' Championship, finishing the season with only 8 points. Ferrari hit rock bottom when Jody Scheckter, the newly crowned world champion, retired from Formula One due to disillusionment. The team was struggling technologically and even faced rumors of exiting the sport. However, behind the scenes, they were developing the 126CK, a new turbocharged V6 engine. While some viewed this as a last-ditch effort, Ferrari was determined to regain their dominance, opting not just to rely on engineering, but also to play dirty to achieve their goals. Amid the chaos of late 70s Formula One, a silent war raged between FISA, the sport's governing body, and FOCA, the Constructors' Association. The war of power, FISA versus FOCA. So here's the backdrop. By the end of the 70s, Formula One was embroiled in a war not on the track but off it. Two factions emerged. FOCA, representing private teams like Williams, Lotus, McLaren, and Tyrrell, was led by Bernie Ecclestone, the owner of Brabham, and his legal advisor Max Mosley. Opposing them was FISA, which defended larger, manufacturer-owned teams such as Ferrari, Renault, and Alfa Romeo. As smaller teams innovated and gained competitive advantages, they often faced penalties, which fueled frustration among FOCA members. FISA was seen as favoring the big players, while FOCA tirelessly fought for independent teams. Tensions escalated when Jean-Marie Balestre became FISA president in 1978, enforcing controversial rules like the ban on sliding skirts that enabled ground effect, igniting further unrest among the teams. Chaos reigned in F1. Bernie and Max, the faces of FOCA, weren't afraid to stir the pot. They threatened to boycott races and even contemplated creating their own championship. The situation boiled over when Balestre announced the ban on ground effect for the 1981 season. Teams began boycotting races. Circuits threatened to withdraw, and tire suppliers like Goodyear warned, "If you don't figure this out, we're done." It was utter mayhem. Amid this turmoil, Ferrari saw an opportunity. Enter Enzo Ferrari, already a legend, who became the puppet master behind the scenes. Frustrated by the unfolding drama, he stepped in to mediate between the warring factions. In a historic move, he proposed the Concord Agreement, a famous meeting held in January 1981. Enzo gathered representatives from both FISA and FOCA in Maranello to hash out a deal aimed at settling their differences and forging a more unified future for Formula One. They agreed to end the boycott, share revenue fairly, and establish a new governing structure that would benefit everyone, or so it seemed. The Concord Agreement, a new era of Formula One. The meeting culminated in the signing of the Concord Agreement, a significant milestone in Formula One history. This agreement defined how the sport would operate, establishing the rules and financial structures that shaped its future. After 13 hours of intense negotiations, both sides found common ground. FOCA secured a permanent Grand Prix in Imola, fulfilling Enzo Ferrari's long-held dream, while FISA reluctantly allowed FOCA to host the South African Grand Prix. In the end, both FISA and FOCA made concessions, granting Ferrari a unique historical bonus and the power to veto regulations that could hinder their operations. This power shift allowed Ferrari to tailor the rules to suit their needs, further solidifying their dominance both on the track and within the sport. The new collaboration, while presented as a benefit for Formula One, was marred by controversy. Enzo Ferrari and the major manufacturers were aware that the Concord Agreement primarily served their interests. They orchestrated backroom deals to maintain their advantage, allowing them to influence rules, secure special treatment, and manipulate the F1 landscape to stay dominant for decades. Behind the scenes, Ferrari emerged as the dominant force in the sport. Enzo Ferrari skillfully played FISA and FOCA against each other, demanding special bonuses. As the only team that had been around since Formula One's inception in 1950, this demand carried serious implications. If Ferrari left, it could significantly impact the fan base and TV ratings for the sport. FOCA got what it wanted too, with Bernie Ecclestone taking over the commercial rights to F1, a move that would eventually make him one of the richest men in the world, but for the smaller teams, not so much. The aftermath. Ferrari's newfound power. With their enhanced status, Ferrari rolled out the 126 CK in 1981, showcasing a turbocharged V6 engine that performed impressively. While they didn't instantly reclaim their former glory, they did secure 2 wins and a podium finish that season. Tragedy struck in 1982 when Gilles Villeneuve lost his life in a horrific crash at Zolder, and teammate Didier Pironi suffered a career-ending accident at Hockenheim. Despite these heartbreaking events, Ferrari still managed to clinch the Constructors' Championship that year. By 1983, Ferrari had regained its competitive edge, winning the Constructors' title once again. However, it became clear that maintaining dominance throughout the 80s and 90s would be a challenge, as other teams like McLaren and Williams frequently outperformed them. As the sport evolved, Ferrari's grip on it tightened. With their historical bonuses and veto power, they maintained a control that stymied competitors. While others transitioned to V10s, Ferrari held onto their V12 engines, skillfully sidestepping the pitfalls that plagued other teams during this period of adaptation. The Golden Era, Schumacher, and the return to dominance. The late 90s marked a transformative era for Ferrari. After years of struggle, the team, now led by Jean Todt and supported by star engineers like Ross Brawn and Rory Byrne, finally had the resources to compete effectively. When Michael Schumacher joined in 1996, it set the stage for an extraordinary period of dominance. By 1999, Ferrari had reclaimed the Constructors' Championship, and in 2000, Schumacher secured his third title. Over the next 5 years, Ferrari would dominate the sport, racking up 5 Drivers' Championships and 6 Constructors' Championships. Schumacher became the most successful driver in Formula One history, cementing Ferrari's status as an unstoppable force. Ferrari's dominance sparked skepticism about how much of their success stemmed from historical perks and veto powers rather than just on-track performance. Critics claim that their resurgence relied on engineering brilliance coupled with behind-the-scenes deals and manipulation of the sport structure, securing their future in F1 through political maneuvering and corruption. Over the decades, as the sport evolved and teams changed, Ferrari consistently benefited from the legacy of a secret deal made in 1981. A new challenge, the modern era and continued influence. Fast forward to today, and Ferrari's influence remains robust despite new challenges. The latest Concord Agreement, signed in 2021 and effective until 2025, mandates a 50% profit split among teams. However, Ferrari receives an additional percentage due to its historical significance in the sport. So, even as revenue soared to over $3 billion in 2023, Ferrari's slice of the pie is still disproportionately large compared to others. But it's more than just finances. Recently, Ferrari has wielded its veto power to block measures that could limit their competitive edge. For example, they opposed a budget cap aimed at helping smaller teams and refused to budge on engine pricing for customer teams, showcasing their firm grip on the sport. Despite not winning a championship in nearly 2 decades, Ferrari remains a formidable presence, sidestepping the decline experienced by historic teams like Williams and McLaren. With ample resources and significant political leverage, they've managed to stay relevant, but their perceived unfair advantages continue to fuel heated debates about competitive balance in Formula One. Today, Ferrari might not be the dominating force they once were, but their place in F1 is still solidified. The dark side of their history, the scandals, the corruption, it's all part of the story that has shaped modern Formula One into the spectacle it is today. So, next time you see a Ferrari on the grid, just remember there's more to that prancing horse than meets the eye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into the dark side of F1 history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the world of motorsport. Let me know in the comments which F1 scandal you want to hear about next. Until next time, keep racing.